This is Liquid Gold. Go for it, Mike.
All right, where the stories are long and the lies are old, welcome to Liquid Gold. Kenneth, Dedmon, my co-host, good to be with you.
It's great to be here, Mike.
Always a pleasure. My name's Mike Wolf here. This is Liquid Gold, a podcast about all things beverage, coming to you from Nashville. You can hear that train off in the distance here, in the shadow of the guitar scoreboard, as my man Kenneth pointed out last week.
Which is in the shadow of Fort Negley.
Definitely. We're kind of in a holler. We're in an urban holler down here.
A hollow.
At the We Own This Town at the We Own This Town studios here in Wedgwood, Houston. Thanks to We Own This Town for having us, and to Michael Eads, our producer here, and he does a lot of cool stuff with We Own This Town. You can find them online on Twitter, Instagram, all that stuff. And also, I want to introduce to you our guest for today. We are extremely stoked to have our old friend and just all-around amazing gal, Miss Ali Besten from Cathead.
Well, make my heart melt Monday. Thanks for that introduction.
Yeah, this is awesome. Thanks for coming out.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, we are stoked to have you along here. You brought some tasty things. We are sipping on the Hoodoo Chicory liqueur that we are going to get into later. This is super cool. It's like a different take on a coffee liqueur. Meets Amaro, meets Nocino, meets Al Pacino.
It's in its own class. Therefore, no competition, which is a great business move.
Good point, Kenneth.
Well, thanks.
Yeah, we look forward to talking to you about all this stuff. She has the honeysuckle vodka, the pecan vodka, Cathead's traditional vodka, and the gin as well. And there's a lot that they have going on too, a lot of new stuff that they're going to be getting into this year. So we look forward to talking about that. Things we're not going to talk about on Liquid Gold today. We are not going to talk about chickweed cocktails. It's kind of a weed, you might call it. I wouldn't call it a weed, but it's a plant that will grow in your front yard this time of year, and it tastes like English peas. We're not going to really...
I don't know, like, it's kind of got a mushroomy flavor to it, but we're not going to get into that.
Yeah, maybe another time. What's the difference between concrete and cement, and does the answer lie in the famous shot, the cement mixer? Which I don't know.
I don't want to touch on that at all.
No.
Ooh.
It's bullshit.
Yeah.
We only have a certain amount of time here.
Sand?
That's true. We have to
We'll
get Ali back. We'll get Ali back for maybe.
That's why we have this section of things that we're not going to discuss.
Right. We want to narrow it down. We have a lot of stuff to get to. Also, things we're not going to talk about today. Dry January, contemplating a rebrand as High January. We could have done that in key. We'll work on that.
We can try that again.
Yeah.
All three of us.
Yeah, right. Something I do want to talk about, a recent dining beverage experience that I had that was very exciting and inspiring. This past Saturday night, went to Green Pheasant here, downtown Nashville, newer place. Jess and the crew.
That's
from 210 Jack.
The 210 Jack.
Kinsey, Kristen.
Outstanding.
Bunch of talented folks in there. So the food is sort of a take on different sort of styles of Japanese food and Japanese bar food, but it's a very elegant, really nice place. Right down there on First Avenue, right across from the Ascend Amphitheater. We had some shoju highballs to start that were really awesome. Super simple and clean and light and refreshing, and that was an awesome way to start. And then there's all this sake that they have, which is amazing. Their list is incredible. My wife and I, we really only had time to try one that really went with our food. It was super light, and just shout out to them. Kinsey, we want to have you on in the future, so if you're listening, let's get that scheduled, because they're doing some cool things here in Nashville. I'm excited about it.
Kinsey, get Jess. Both of them.
Yeah.
At the same time. It'd be great.
Yeah, we got enough room in here.
Yeah.
Ali, you want to come back for that episode?
Yeah, keep it cozy.
Yeah. So something that's come up recently that I have noticed, I have been working, I'd say the last year, working on this bar restaurant project, Chopper. You can find us on Instagram at Chopper Tiki, and it's just been a huge process, but I've been working shifts all over town. I was working at Josephine. I've been over there recently. And just something that came up when I was over at Husk for a long time and other places is this time of year, the mint gets a little sad. And it's kind of like, what am I going to do? The mint looks like crap. And
well, there's no sunlight, man. Like, mint's going to go bad.
yeah,
It's supposed to go bad. It's the wintertime.
and it's probably
the
coming up from
definition of the
Florida.
wintertime.
It's probably coming down from Northern California. It's probably coming from all over. And it's just hard to get good fresh mint. But I wanted to talk about a few different ways that you can sort of enliven and freshen up your mint. There is the Vestinos method, which is this guy who had this great method for kind of keeping mint very vibrant and fresh and keeping the oils intact on the bar. So what you do is if you have some sad looking mint, cut it on a bias and then dunk it into some ice water. Get it in an ice bath. That'll kind of shock it and also keep the oils intact. So you could do that. You could put that in ice water and then put that in your cooler there, your walk-in cooler or your little reach-in cooler behind the bar there, and let it sit in there for about 20 to 30 minutes. Then pull it out, sort of dry it off, be real gentle with it. Cut it at the end again on a bias, and then put it in some warm water on the bar. If you have those julep cups, that can be really nice. So put it in some warm water, and what you have done is essentially you've hydrated the mint, and it will stay nice and pretty on the bar for most of that service.
I like to think that you've taught the mint a lesson.
Yeah.
Put it out in the cold, and then you give it a blanket, and it appreciates you for it.
Definitely. You trick it into thinking that it's died and gone to an icy heaven, and then that it's back in the ground.
Yeah.
But be nice to it. Mint has ears.
I wouldn't threaten it.
Yeah, don't threaten it. Mint has ears. Mint can hear what you're saying to it. Mint can hear music. So if you're going to, I think in this, you might be able to speak a little bit about this. If you're getting ready for service.
M. Night Shyamalan's The Happening?
I did not want to talk about that,
Oh.
but is that like the sequel of a worse movie that he made, or?
Oh, man. I don't know. Yeah. Okay.
But if you're getting ready for service and your mint's not looking good and you're blasting Black Sabbath like Kenneth and I used to do, the mint might get a little afraid.
Early Sabbath.
We would blast some Sabbath, and I think sometimes the herbs would react kind of frighteningly. They didn't necessarily like that. So keep the music kind of classical if the mint is listening to you. I think that's a good lesson. So I also want to talk about one thing you can do if you have a bunch of mint left over is you can make this kind of Moroccan mint tea that's really nice that you can mix into cordials, you can mix into syrups. Basically, you can take some Chinese gunpowder tea. So you boil your water with...
It's tea.
Yeah, say you got a liter of water and you boil that. Then you add your kind of dried pods of this Chinese gunpowder tea. You add that in. You let that sit for about a minute. And then you lightly just pour out a couple ounces. And that's going to become kind of the basis for your tea later. So you pour out a little bit of this liquid. Then you swirl that around. You pour out into the sink and you discard the rest of that water as you've essentially kind of agitated it and washed it. Then you're going to add more water. You're going to add more water, and you're going to add your say a couple handfuls of fresh mint. Then add say 3 to 4 tablespoons of sugar. Now you can adjust the sugar to your liking. And from there, you're going to let that sit about 10 minutes and then pour that out into your glasses. And that's kind of a simple mint tea. But what you do, what the secret is to this little couple ounces of, they call it the spirit. When you first put water on that Chinese gunpowder tea, you add that back to your mixture of the mint and the green tea together. And it gives it this sort of another layer of flavor. And that's one of the secrets of like true Moroccan mint tea. So that's something you can do with your mint that's really not looking as good. Look up some recipes for traditional Moroccan mint tea. My wife and I were out there not a long time ago, but
So
we had some amazing
You've had it from
mint
the
tea.
source.
Mm-hmm.
And-
Morocco.
Yeah, we were in Tangier.
Ooh.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Did you
Thought I was in heaven.
approach-
Everyone was asking me if I wanted hash all the time. I was like, I
Did you
don't
ride
know.
a camel and smoke hash?
I didn't.
Casablanca? Did you?
I didn't make it down there.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. I drank some Casablanca beer. That's a pretty cool beer they make out there. Kenneth has an empty glass over here.
Refill.
And today on Liquid Gold, it's free refills of Hoodoo chicory liqueur. So, Ali, before we get into all these delicious things you brought.
This is a beautiful compliment to any style tea.
Definitely. Shout out to Americano Coffee Lounge. We just came up from there.
Yeah,
Little pre-show meeting.
Positive dudes.
Good dudes. But before we get into Cathead and all these beautiful spirits, how did you kind of get started in this business?
Well,
hang on. Let's back up before that. Where'd you come from, Ali?
So I'm born and raised Louisville, Kentucky.
There we go.
Bourbon state.
Bourbon country.
Bourbon country.
Mm-hmm.
I started, my family is in the restaurant industry, and so I started helping out in their restaurants, hostessing. And then from there, I was living in Australia for a year, and this mixologist, per se, like took me under his wing.
Mixologist.
Mixologist.
Mm-hmm.
Worked at a blues bar, so here we go, comes full circle. And he just took me under his wing. I was a traveler, living out of my suitcase, looking for any type of job. I mean, I was a dishwasher at one point. And he was like, hey, come help me out at my bar. I was like, well, I don't know how to make really like these kind of drinks. I'm really good at pouring shots, tequila all day. And he showed me the way, got me connected with some other people. And then from there, it just kind of unfolded. And then was working at a bar in Alice Springs and got really liked the creativity side of it and the party atmosphere. Still being a part of the party, but not partaking in it. And then my visa ended, so I moved back home and got involved with the Stitzelweller Distillery, which is where Bullet Bourbon is bottled and aged, and was doing their tastings and tours. And loved it, but knew I wanted to grow with a company. And
I didn't know this. I've known you for a while. This is insane.
Well,
that's why we got you.
Yeah, so it was doing tours and tastings, and public speaking was like, I was like, oh, okay, here we go. So in 1932, and then I knew I wanted to grow with a company, and so that's why I reached out to Cathead. I was overly persistent, as you guys would probably know by working with me.
Doing your job, doing your thing, yeah.
Doing your job well.
Oh, thanks. Well, yeah, I met the guys actually back in Mississippi when I was living there, and so came full circle and was just like, hey, are you guys hiring? And they were still super small at the moment. I mean, I think there was like 9 people when I reached out. This was about 3.5 years ago, 4 years ago. Then finally after persistence, they were like, hey, we are hiring. Do you want to interview? And I kind of just went from there.
I think one of the things that's cool and one of the things that makes it really interesting to have you here, something that you can talk about and speak to is coming into a market like Nashville and really helping to grow a brand that's, was such a kind of a force in Mississippi and kind of a local brand, and sort of growing that in a very organic way. Were you planning that you would kind of come up to Nashville and that's kind of what you would be working on, growing the brand here? Is that something that kind of came later? What brought you to town?
Well, what brought me to town was actually, I was in Mississippi, was my final round of interviews, and it was my 2 founders and myself out to dinner, and we were just having a chat, and they're like, so where do you want to live? And obviously instincts in my mind, I was like, ooh, Italy, California, but something that made sense for the company and where we already had footprint was Tennessee. And no one was living there at the time. And we were distributed in 16 states throughout the Southeast. And so, but there was no one in that Tennessee state. And I saw a market for it. I knew Nashville was on the verge of being booming.
Yeah.
And I wanted to get there on the ground before it was a little bit too late. And so we agreed on, hey, yeah, you want to move to Nashville? And I was like, yeah, absolutely. Moved here August 2015, had 2 weeks to get settled, And then I just started working from there, figuring it out.
Then we started seeing you everywhere.
Yeah, I think that was like a win-win or a win-win on Austin's end. Like I've known the brand
Austin
since
being
one of the
Owners.
of the company.
Yeah.
I've dealt with Cathead as a brand since somewhat of its inception, or at least its involvement in the Tennessee market. Patrick's still around?
Yeah, Pat Floyd.
Yeah,
cool. He's our Alabama rep.
Yeah, he's a cool dude.
So yeah, he's awesome.
Like, he was the first Cathead rep that I ever met, and I've ties down in Jackson. Something that I always like caught my eye about Cathead as a brand, and especially reps like yourself for this brand, which is why I say that you're a perfect fit. It's like y'all don't like kind of roll a little bit differently than other reps that I tend to deal with on the day-to-day basis.
Some inside baseball talk. I like this.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, I'm not going to like state my age, but I'm about 20 years into the service industry. So I've seen reps come and go from multiple distribution houses in the city. I know the reps that are great, and I know the reps that are bad, just based on probably about a 30-second. You don't even know I'm watching you. I'm more like listening to you, but a lot of reps will show up at restaurant, nightclub, bar, and they're gonna ask, "May I talk to your manager? Whoever's ordering, who is the person that is gonna write the check and order this shit?" And the reps that I enjoy are the ones that actually talk to the employees that are going to eventually sell that product before they get to brass tacks. And within 30 seconds, I can always tell who's the cool rep and who's this like bottom liner rep, like what, like looking at their watch, asking me to text someone that's in a meeting, like y'all aren't like that. And the best reps in this city are not like that. They actually, like their full-time job is repping the brand instead of a 5-minute meeting that they're waiting 30 minutes to do. So that's 35 minutes of repping in one spot as opposed to 30 minutes of bullying an employee that's supposed to sell your brand.
Yeah, I think it's interesting.
Y'all don't do that, and y'all are different like that. And shouldn't that be like how reps conduct themselves?
She's the model for the modern rep, I think.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
Thanks.
But one thing that I think I can sort of piggyback on that is you do seem more like involved in the community, and you guys like to get involved in the music scenes. And yeah, talk a little bit about that, like your kind of mindset with getting involved in the community, getting involved with both really small events, bigger events. Where's that kind of come from? That's just kind of the mission and overall?
Yeah. Well, so a portion of our proceeds goes towards Live Nonprofit Music Foundation. So we work closely with this one particular beneficiary called Music Maker Relief Foundation. And they're out of Durham, North Carolina.
Y'all like blues musicians.
Yes.
Y'all are huge proponents of blues musicians, which is...
Being from Mississippi,
amazing. That's where
we're paying our homage back. Repping them essentially. And so when being in Music City, the company culture fits in so well here. And we wouldn't be the brand that we are today in Nashville if it wasn't for the community. So at the end of the day, like I have to sit down and think about like, oh, who do I want to give back to? Oh, the community. And we don't have like this crazy budget to be like throwing dollar bills out to market advertisement. We're a 14-person company. We're very small. And so that's why we decide, oh, well, what's the best possible way to market? How can I help this person out? And that's, reaching out to the people that are involved, chefs, bartenders, musicians that don't have a huge marketing budget. And be like, yeah, I'll throw you a couple bottles for your show. It depends. I mean, granted, like, I have had people call me up and be like, hey, do you want to sponsor my house party? And you're like, well,
Who is this?
Shit, I didn't know you could do that.
Like,
Wait, which Larry is this?
I'll bring a bottle, but it's like one of those things where you're like, you kind of have to be strategic about it, but you also want to know, like, help your local community out. I mean,
That's super dope, Ali. Would you mind like speaking on perhaps a quick history of the Cathead brand out of Jackson, Mississippi?
For sure. So
especially the building.
The building.
Well,
we're the first legal distillery. We've been around 2010. So we and a lot of people are bewildered by the fact that we've only been around for almost 9 years.
I remember finding that out.
But I mean,
a
like
while back, and I just figured it's the robust moonshine market. I don't know.
Yeah, there aren't a lot of spirits out of Mississippi. In fact, I mean, Prohibition continued in Mississippi for 30-something on years after it was repealed.
Yeah, they repealed in 1966, and so we were talking about a distillery like Cathead that came about in 2010. So that's
amazing.
like that took us that long to get, But I think there was a lot more to it, dealing with the government and laws, and that's a little bit above me right there. Mm-hmm. But
that's why we call it red tape. It's like
or like the fire hula hoops to jump through. That's and so we started out in Gluckstadt, Madison, which is like 20 minutes outside of Jackson, kind of like Franklin, Tennessee. And I remember walking into the warehouse and being like, whoa, this looks like, it was like an office space, and you had a bar, and then a bar with a bunch of bumper stickers, and then you had this bottling line that was like 3 feet long, and then you had the big still. And I just remember walking in. This was like right when I was getting hired, and being like, whoa, like this is like a bachelor's pad with a still. All right, this is awesome.
Like,
and
my first check's gonna clear, right?
But I mean, it just shows like the hard work.
Give more blood, maybe.
Well, it just shows the hard work, because like in that amount of time, in like the 3 years, we've tripled in size and moved over to Jackson, the heart of Jackson, over on Farish Avenue, in this old building, and added another still to it, and just been making juice ever since, and working on other things that are in our future.
Being the fact that you've been all up and down I-65, so coming from Louisville, and you've traveled a lot through Mississippi. Can you give us kind of an off the beaten cool spot, like when you go down to Mississippi? There's Clarksdale and there's some of these other little towns. Where's a cool place people could go from Nashville? It's not a long drive to any of these little towns that are kind of northern Mississippi or central Mississippi, even southern Mississippi. Do you have any kind of cool, not to put you on the spot, but do you have any cool kind of spots that you have come upon in your travels with this brand and in this business where you've been like, wow, that was special?
Definitely.
Tell us about it.
I'm trying to think of which ones.
Take your time.
So if we're going down to Mississippi, Clarksdale for sure is a gem. There's a cultural richness that is not really spoken about. Like, people don't really know about it. They just, Mississippi kind of has this weird stigma to it. And so when you go down to Clarksdale, Mississippi, there's this blues culture and this energy and this, you got these old school juke joints that you walk into. This one in particular that's my favorite, called Reds. And you walk into this, and I mean, first of all, the smell alone as soon as you get in is just going to hit you in the face, because it smells like feet and like wet carpet that's dried, dried out overnight.
So, is it carpeted?
It used to be. I think it was all worn down. By feet. Dancing feet.
Dancing shoes.
Yeah.
It has this like really cool like oriental rug in the middle of it, but you walk in, and the guy that owns it's Red's Juke Joint, and this guy Red is sitting in the corner, and they only sell like 40s of beer, bottled beer, and you have to pay in cash. And behind the bar, it's
beer
just
or malt liquor.
Beer, but sometimes he'll have old granddad behind the bar, and if you're special, he'll like give you the nod. Pro tip. Yeah. Wow. But awesome. You can't ask him for that. He has to. He kind of has to invite you with the old granddad. Mm-hmm.
And like this, I smell. It's weird, but I smell old granddad. I don't know.
I'd be like,
or what's your
I smell old carpet. Where's the booze at, old man?
Give me your booze.
No, but getting him to smile though is like something that when you do, you're like, yes.
Oh, we
smile.
can do that. We're heading down there. We will get that man smiling.
Oh,
real fast.
It's
Oh,
like
man. No
such
pressure.
it's a warm hug going down there. It's really
That's
good.
cool.
It's a good time. And you get all these blues musicians like playing, and this one girl in particular, Sade Fife and Drum, she's like Otha Turner's granddaughter, and she's still like a living fife and drum player, and she carries the crowd. Like, she's great. Ground Zero Blues Club in Clarksdale is great. Abe's Barbecue. It's won so many awards. I went there back in April, and I remember like sitting in it was like right before this Juke Joint festival, and this Brazilian jazz or blues musician walks in, sets up his guitar, and just starts playing Brazilian like his version of blues, and he's Brazilian, and it was just magic.
Wow.
So those spots, I mean, all the gas stations, like going down, if you can find one, they're characters. Like everybody there is a character.
It's kind of these
I think that's
bodegas that
like,
are out.
I wanted
out
to
a little bit.
chime in on is like this old South, like, you know, like lick your thumb and stick it in the air. Like, if you want like some dope food in the South and you're on a highway or like
A county road, maybe.
yeah, like you look for a gas station, but you look for a gas station that's not
Chicken on a stick.
prefabbed, and you
Yeah.
look for a smoker on the side.
Yeah, maybe
it's
some smoke coming
Yeah.
off the roof somewhere.
Wafting,
You see a
wafting.
hood somewhere.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah. I
There's
smell grease.
fox,
Yeah.
wild foxes
It's a
kind of
fox
just like
running around.
like
Yeah.
jumping into a bush, and
Yeah.
they're gone.
Yeah.
That's where I'm getting some barbecue, bro.
He's going to talk to a possum. Yeah.
Yeah,
Totally.
make sure you eat some
I know what
chicken
you
on a
mean.
stick too.
Chicken on a stick.
It's like
Yeah,
a
chicken on a
huge
stick.
chicken tender on a stick, and it's
I'm talking about like
It's economical.
bypassing the places that are advertising boiled peanuts. If you're seeing that all everywhere, just go a little farther back if you're not scared, and there's some dope food out there.
I hope I answered your question with that.
Yeah, that's dope. I love that. Liquid Gold is going to hit the road probably later this year, and I think a Mississippi episode is in the cards. We'll go down to Clarksville.
Okay.
Or, I'm sorry, we will
Clarksdale.
go down to
This is the first
Clarksdale,
I heard, like-
and we will do a show from one of those juke joints. I think that would be dope.
That'd be cool.
Okay,
Or you
but-
should do it at our distillery during the Cathead Jam, which is the first weekend of June, and it's like our birthday celebration. So that's will be our 9th birthday, but our 3rd year doing it.
Cool.
And you guys should come and
And y'all
Do
are
a
doing that in
podcast.
Jackson?
we do it in
Jackson,
Jackson,
Mississippi.
Yeah, at our distillery, and we have a stage outside. Last year we had some Nashville locals, Moon Taxi, play.
Oh,
I
killer.
know that name. Yeah.
Yeah, they played last year.
Mikey could play it. You know, Mikey's a pretty talented musician.
What doesn't
Yeah, I
he?
could
He is
play.
a green thumb.
Play some blues down there.
I'm still learning how to play the harmonica, so maybe we can like combine forces.
Like C harp.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, one of my friends.
What key are you playing in?
I one night I was trying to learn
A?
like, I have no
D?
idea.
C?
I think it's C. I think it's C.
It's got to be C.
It's C. I think C's the easiest one to learn on, right?
I never moved past the C. Someone told me it was easy.
You could just be like Bob Dylan on Blonde and just like blow whatever
Maybe,
harmonica
man,
is
like-
sitting there and just blow it until like the neighbors all complain. That's the Blonde on Blonde method for harmonica. So one of the things about Cathead that I think is really interesting, you are working with some ingredients that are regional to the South and Mississippi. And that's something that kind of spoke to me when you had brought the Cathead Honeysuckle to Husk for me to taste and the Hoodoo Chicory liqueur. And that's what we're drinking right now. So tell us a little bit about that. There's a pecan vodka here. That's a very southern ingredient. This Hoodoo, the chicory liqueur, I know that chicory grows all over the South and especially all over Mississippi. It's kind of like dandelion. It's a pretty blue flower. But where does that sort of come from? Is that just an organic thing that you guys have experimented with?
We get our chicory. So essentially, the chicory that we get is from the endive, and then we roast the chicory root and we mix it with our vodka base, but at 113 proof, because the whole story with Hoodoo is this, Robert Johnson, this famous blues musician, back in the day, sold his soul to the devil. So we have all this folk.
At the Crossroads.
At the
is that
Crossroads,
correct?
yeah.
There's a Ralph Macchio movie that reenacts
Yeah.
Right.
Crossroads.
Totally.
Whenever I hear that word Crossroads, I just think of Bone Thugs and Harmony. Like, I see you at the crossroads. And I see you at the cross. But yeah, so at the Crossroads, Highway 61 and Highway 49, and that's the sum of 110. And we
That's super cool.
yeah, so we let that age in old granddad barrels, 66-gallon hogshead old granddad barrels for 110 days, and then it's 66.6 proof, so another like throwback to the Robert Johnson, like selling his soul to Papa Legba.
That's some metal right there.
Yeah, Iron Maiden.
Dope.
I think, okay, all right, this is probably like, I remember when I introduced this first to you, it was on Wednesday, it was the Wednesday, and that night, Husk had that fire.
Oh, damn.
And I was like, I remember being like, shit, was that the night that I introduced him to, and I think it was.
Whoa, that's intense.
Because I was like
we
going
were both
back.
there.
I was going back in my like recap and like my notes and stuff. And yeah, it was like that day.
Yeah, the fire.
Yeah. And so.
Local lore.
I remember it vividly.
Fire that shut it down for a while over there.
According to some restaurateurs in town, the place never reopened.
Right. That was kind of a public relations debacle. They were like,
Husk burned
done.
down.
It's like, well,
Put some condos
we have
there.
used a lot of embers here, so I guess if you have a hashtag embers only, you might have a fire someday. That's just, I don't know. But it's funny because that really had nothing to do with it. It was just a random electrical fire. But man, that was crazy.
Yeah, that was.
So I think one of the things that's really interesting about the chicory liqueur, the hoodoo, is it has more going on than your typical like coffee liqueur. The St. George is a great one. I like that one, but it's super strong. You've got, it's like Kahlua, or I don't know. I don't even remember. I think that's still around. But coffee liqueurs in general. Yeah.
Kahlua.
Chicory, this hoodoo chicory has more of an herbaceous thing going on. And so what we used to do at Husk, we would make kind of Manhattan variations. That's something you can do. You can take, say, your 2 ounces of rye whiskey, your orange and Angostura bitters, and say ½ ounce of sweet vermouth and ½ ounce of the hoodoo, and make this like really nice kind of complex coffee chicory Manhattan.
Throw an orange peel in there, like ember, a coffee bean.
There you go.
Drop it on top. Mm-hmm. Sounds great.
Yeah.
Yeah, whenever I'm talking about this, I always describe it. I mean, essentially, it's a digestive, and I always describe it as going over taking your stuff. I always describe it as like a Southern Amaro. Yeah, it's not like you definitely described it well, being herbaceous. It's not as medicinal as like a Fernet per se, with that like those minty undertones, but it's a little bit more.
Well, it hasn't been assigned a purpose yet. So once you assign a purpose, then it's medicinal.
Yeah.
Purpose is getting you drunk.
You're going to be, by the end of this, you're going to be the spokesman of hoodoo. You're going to be out here on the corner just like talking about hoodoo.
Hoodoo, motherfucker.
Do you hoodoo?
I say that anyway.
But it's cool. It's got this like nutty thing going on. So at one of the Chopper pop-ups, we did use it in kind of like a Mai Tai riff where we were using it along with orgeat and rum and lime and orange.
That nutty thing.
Has a cool nutty thing
There's
going on.
no nuts involved in this, right?
No nuts involved.
That's what's up.
Only the nuts that are selling it, I guess.
And so what about the Cathead Honeysuckle? How did that come about?
So actually, funny story. Well, first of all, I think everybody just in our distillery they're all just big kids, like Austin, Richard, Philip. Austin and Richard are 2 founders, and Philip's our distiller. And they were like sitting around at a table. This was like early Cathead days. And they were trying to figure out like what flavor to come up with, because they wanted to do another flavor, but they also wanted it to be indigenous to the South. And so what they did is they sat around at the table, kind of like what we're doing right now, and they wrote on a piece of paper what flavor that they wanted. And they didn't show anyone, they didn't tell anybody, and they put it all in the middle of the table, and they all turned it around, and it was all honeysuckle.
That's fucking killer.
And so they're like, all right, I guess we're doing the honeysuckle. It's consensus. So, Yeah, and it's all natural. We press the flower down and let it macerate in the distillate for 2 to 3 weeks, and then we filter it out. So it's very subtle. It's almost like a liqueur in a way. I love it as a Vesper variation, or it's a cool take on a Moscow Mule, something different than just your traditional vodka.
Well done. I like that idea in a Vesper.
Yeah, I love it in a Vesper.
Oh, man.
And I think it'd be great for this time of year. We have this like sort of, it's a bit of a lull in the drinking world. In January, people sort of tone it down and they kind of like reset a little bit. But it's a good time to kind of investigate some lower proof spirits. And this being a vodka that's at 70 proof for the honeysuckle vodka, that kind of means you can, you can hang with it for a bit. And you can, you can tiptoe back into the drinking world with stuff like this.
Where are y'all sourcing this honeysuckle from? In my experience, as a forager, like an urban forager, honeysuckle is kind of can be hard to find or too easy to find.
Yeah,
but how do you?
Well,
sometimes it's too easy to find close to a highway where you don't want to be picking,
or on your way to work
or
when you're
busy,
want to be picking it. It's like shit, man. It better be in between here.
Yeah,
it's 4 miles.
Yeah.
Well, so it's locally sourced in Mississippi, and so Richard and Philip, they have like a farmer connection that helps them.
Like the plant is everywhere. Like I saw one just right here at the what's that brewery right there?
At the Jackalope Brewery.
The Jackalope Brewery. There's a honeysuckle plant popping up, presumably because it was April 2 weeks ago.
I was gonna say it's early.
Yeah.
It's like,
well, like the plant
it's gone now.
Yeah. It's dead.
Like there wasn't a flower. I just know the leaves of the plant. And it's everywhere. So yeah, y'all just know someone that has a lot of property.
Yeah. Well, so it's like it's a farmer in Mississippi that they work with, and I'm not on the production side of things, which is probably a good thing because it's such a tedious. I mean, honeysuckle is so delicate and tedious that I would just get impatient and be like, all right, let's just.
You need to be out here with the people.
Yeah, I like the people.
Yeah,
I like to drink it with. I like to hang out. I like to come up with cocktails with it.
Yeah. One thing we're going to post to the Liquid Gold Instagram, liquidgold_pod, that's at liquidgold_pod, is the drink that I did a few years back with the Cathead honeysuckle, which was like a honeysuckle pisco sour. And I thought that was a really cool way because we had all this beautiful honeysuckle. Kenneth and I were
egg white.
You did egg white.
Egg white,
and didn't you make your own cordial with that too, like a honeysuckle cordial?
Yeah, we made a honeysuckle cordial, and then we did pisco. We did the honeysuckle vodka, which I think is really cool. In that drink, we were using like kind of light spirits, and the flavor really came through, and it just gives you that extra kind of tasting note, which is really nice because it's not like you can go to a shop or just order from a distributor like, let me taste all your honeysuckle stuff. And so it's cool to have something that's an ingredient that grows here in town, and that
everywhere in town,
and that you can sort of bolster with this new kind of layer of flavor.
For that cocktail, we actually almost specifically pulled honeysuckle from this house on 14th and Davidson.
Oh, that was amazing. They had the best honeysuckle plant. They didn't care. We would just show up at their house. We would be picking it, and then eventually they'd come outside and like cock a gun.
Yeah, yeah. Like they didn't like it.
Yeah, they'd take a shot up in the air, and then we'd be like, "We're good. We got enough for the next few days."
They're like, we just want these flowers, and they're like, bring out the pit bulls, like get them. Like, no, you just want the flowers, bro. They ended up chopping that plant, that entire bush down.
Yeah, they moved,
but it grew back.
It took a while, but we're
talking about someone's front yard.
We eventually got into their good graces.
Don't mind me.
Yeah. So be careful out there if you're urban foraging. Don't be like us. Be careful.
No, because my problem is I would like do the into the wild and eat the wrong berry, and then that's all she wrote.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nah. You just get sick.
At least there's no poisonous lookalikes for honeysuckle.
Yeah, really, that's a good thing. So I don't forage though, but
you can come along on a Liquid Gold foraging expedition maybe in the spring.
Yeah, I'll let you lead that.
We've got our eyes on. I talked to Richard about some wintergreen. that is up on the plateau, as it were, that we are going to go and search.
Holler at Richard Hall, who is the one person I think is either listening to our podcast over and over or not listening at all.
Richard
Hall, yeah.
We appreciate you.
Mastermind.
Yeah, we'll get him. He's our herbal master and our kind of spiritual leader. So in addition to the Cathead Honeysuckle, you also have this pecan, which makes for some really cool cocktails. Like we talked about the nuttiness of the hoodoo. Now, obviously, you've got some nuttiness with it being a pecan-flavored vodka. And I do want to say, before we kind of get into maybe a little bit behind the story with this, I want to say that we had a lot of luck making a pecan orgeat and using this as that extra layer of flavor, which was kind of cool, part of the process of extracting the oil out of the nuts. So that's another thing you can do with this pecan vodka here. And if you are making, say, anything like a tiki cocktail, which they can have these really nice kind of nutty and spicy notes to it. This is just another layer of flavor that you can add in there. But so Cathead Pecan Vodka is kind of a newer product. Can you tell us a little bit about the story behind that?
Yeah, so honeysuckle obviously is predominantly spring, summer. I mean, granted, you can drink it year round, like you said, being a low ABV. Mm-hmm. But we wanted to do something that was fall, like that screamed fall, and also indigenous to the South as well. So we get all of our pecans from Indianola, Mississippi, where B.B. King was born. So shout out to B.B. King. Cool. And there you go. And we roast the pecans and lay the vodka on top and let it macerate for 4 to 6 weeks, and then we'll filter it out. So it's completely natural. That's why it's brown. I have a lot of, when I'm doing liquor store tastings, guys are like, oh, I'm a whiskey guy. I'm like, well, you might like this. And it's nice to see them like completely turn and be like, oh, this is actually like a whiskey sipping vodka. Wow. I know that sounds kind of like crazy to say, but
no, it sounds fine.
It's a little bit, it has warmth. It's a little bit more heartier than the honeysuckle and the original. I love White Russians. So I'll do a pecan White Russian with hoodoo and almond milk, and that's like a go-to winter cocktail for me. And it's really nice as a Manhattan as well. But yeah, it just came about. Philip Ladner, our distiller, is really big on experimentation. So he'll just, he'll play with flavors and play with resources that he can get, and pecan was one that was easy to get. There's orchards all over Mississippi, so it's easy to get the resources and to make it consistent and to continue on, and then to have it be a fall.
Mikey, will you pour me a taste of the
That's
pecan
great.
whiskey?
You bet.
Yeah.
Did you have anything else with the?
Until recently, I just learned that it's pecan and not pecan. Pecan's what truckers use. That's what my mom told me.
Is that like a kind of like
recently.
legal speed? Pecan? Like a speed that I don't know about?
I don't know. I just heard we're in this certain part of the South where you hear so many different pronunciations, and growing up, I could never really decide on one or align myself with one. Mm-hmm. And pecan or pecan was just something that slipped through, so I used both of them until my mom over Christmas was like, you really can't say pecan anymore. You have to say pecan. Pecan is what a trucker uses.
That's funny, because I had someone call me out one day and say, you don't say trash con, why do you say pecan? I'm like, okay.
But I don't want to
point.
I don't want to correct someone that says pecan.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's
it takes a family or a village.
It's just a point of, it's just like, meh.
Pronounce a nut.
Yeah. That's very Southern. Moving on to, you have this beautiful gin. Now, can you tell me why, how did it get this different name? And this is sort of another brand that you guys have done. And there's a few different expressions of the gin. Is that right?
Yeah, okay. Actually. Yeah, so you're right. The name Bristow, it stems from our founder's grandfather-in-law. His name, or his wife's maiden name is Bristow. And the whole story behind that, it was just intended to be a gift for him, for the founder, or for the grandfather. And on the wedding day, his grandfather-in-law approached him and was like, hey, Richard, if you're going to marry my granddaughter, you got to make me a gin. On the wedding day, he surprised the whole entire back bar with the Bristow gin. And it was just going to be a one-off gift kind of thing. And this publication blogger guy reached out to him and was like, hey, I'm writing a publication. Do you mind sending me a bottle? And so he did. And then he wrote back being like, hey, by the way, I'm going to publish this in Food and Wine magazine and deeming it as one of the top Southern spirits of I think it was 2013.
Oh, my.
Cool.
And it wasn't in distribution. And so he was like, if
Pressure is on.
Yeah, he was like, in order for me to publish this, I got to distribute it. And, it has to be in distribution. So we sent our last 2 cases in the warehouse to Mississippi distributing and then Savannah, and just limped our way into the gin business. So it was just intended to be a gift, and it's kind of grown from there.
Cool. So there are different styles of gin. You have like American botanical, you have kind of London dry, there's the whole kind of softer Plymouth side. Are there some botanicals that you're using in this gin that are unique or that you feel like kind of jump out? Or when you're talking about this gin, what's some of the tasting notes or botanicals that you're kind of focusing on?
Ooh, so the 2 that really stand out there's a few, but lemon verbena and
That's Mike's favorite.
Wow.
cardamom are the 2 that really like excite my palate per se. I also get some notes of spearmint because it does have some like lushness with the angelica root. And also what I like about this gin is that the juniper actually plays kind of like a back seat on the palate. So it's not really like juniper forward. You're not really getting
that's
that
becoming a trend in a lot of
tree.
modern gins is to include the juniper, make it a gin, but back it off and use your own other thing. And that stands out in the Bristow. Super excited about the lemon verbena. That's not an easy thing to grow or access.
I think now's the time to start. I was actually at Sip Cafe over in Inglewood having some coffee, and I noticed they had kind of started some starter plants on the windowsill. So this is actually a decent time to kind of start that. If you're going to start your herbs at home, or if you're going to start your little starters, this is a decent time to do that. I will just mention that as a little gardening aside.
Yeah, bro. I actually
Really?
I picked up the other day. This is great.
You probably don't want to put it outside until you are assured of no more freezing, but we're getting pretty close to that time where you can set things outside for a few days and bring them back in when it gets too cold.
I picked up one of the shoe holders that you would hang on the back of your dorm room door.
Yeah. Are you getting organizational at your house?
So
I'm so
my
proud of you, bro.
starters, I picked up a couple of them at the Goodwill. They were like $2.
Oh, and you're going to grow plants in them?
I was just gonna hang them in the window facing out and get my starters going, and
awesome.
where
that's
those
smart.
smelly shoes would go.
Yeah.
So you're
That's
using someone's
Old shoe storage.
to grow your herbs. Okay.
Yeah, so
funk.
actually that's it's a good idea because hopefully there's a little bit of
Well, so if you're
about the symbiotic relationship between herbs and fungus.
well, so if you're
it's
gonna
a little
do
out
that,
there, never mind. It's
if you're-
another episode.
if you're gonna do that, all you need to do, we have a from what I heard, a 18 degree night coming up here. So take your shoe thing, leave it outside on the porch. It will get so cold that no bacteria will really survive that. And then you'll be good to go. Pour a little Cathead vodka all over it.
Spray it with
Pour
that.
a little Cathead vodka all over it, and then you'll be good to go.
You don't understand those spores. It's fungus, not a
I
bacteria.
look forward-
Those spores will survive. We need them.
I look
What else
forward
you
to
got growing
updates.
over there, Kenneth?
I look forward to updates on Kenneth's shoe closet hanging plant starter.
Yeah.
That is
Same.
going to be
I didn't
fun
say closet.
on future episodes here
Speaking of
Liquid
fungi,
Gold. Well, I've really enjoyed this chat about all things Cathead. Thank you for bringing all this stuff. This is amazing.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, we want
So
you to
much
hang out here
fun.
for a bit.
Ali, you're amazing.
You're amazing.
And now, it's time for all things boozeworthy in the world of spirits and wine and beer. And
You talking about booze news?
it is time for booze news. Kenneth, what do you have for us this week?
All eyes on me. 4 eyes on me.
Yep. What's
6
boozeworthy
eyes
out
on
there?
me. You got glasses on. So the sovereign state of Georgia the space agency has decided to focus on growing wine on Mars.
Whoa.
We're a couple of years out from SpaceX sending first humans to Mars, presumably to create a colony. NASA is 10 years behind that. The sovereign state of Georgia, one of the first to exit from the USSR, 1991.
Oh yeah, it's the country Georgia, not Georgia on my mind.
Not the great state
Oh wow,
of Georgia,
it's the country of Georgia,
which is one of the 50 states in this great country that we live in. But yeah, another great country
Okay.
called Georgia has focused their entire space agency on the growth of wine on Mars.
Jeez, it sounds like they have too much time on their hands. But I'm into it.
I think like the caveat here is Mars is Terra Rosa soil, which is highly iron rich, and it's actually a sought after soil in the wine market. It's very popular in certain regions of Italy, but very abundant on Mars. That's why it actually has that color when we look up at our night sky. We look at Mars, we're like, why is it red? It's Terra Rosa, it's iron.
Wow.
Here's the caveat though, man. Like, why is this beautiful country one of the first freed countries from the USSR, nestled to the west of the Black Sea? Like, why are they planning on growing? And
They know something we don't. Probably we're gonna be up there sooner than we think.
Why are we all planning on like disaster? Why does this country want to grow wine on Mars? What's wrong with our freaking planet, man?
Yeah. I think it takes a while. It takes maybe they're just like, we need to get started now because we're just going to be like taking the elevator to Mars in 50 years. And they know a little something about growing wine, and they're like, we need to get these vines established. And so that in say 60 years, Ali is working for a winery from the great country of Georgia, and she's like the rep for the southern part of Mars. And she can be up there and she can say, this is old growth. Like, I don't know if you heard about this on Liquid Gold like 80 years ago, but this shit started a long time ago.
Well,
so what you taste in that glass is wisdom.
Well, I was fascinated by the story earlier today, Mike, but then I became like super depressed because, like I had Goodfellas going on. I had two TVs on today while I was getting ready to come here. Goodfellas on one, Sopranos upstairs in my bedroom, and the dogs are fighting. And I was like, man, this is a fascinating story that's planning on the death of this world.
Well,
and then I was like, oh, cheer up, Kenneth. Like, you watched a great movie last night. What was it? WALL-E. I watched WALL-E before I went to sleep.
I love WALL-E.
WALL-E already presumes that we are extinct and left this earth, and like
Earth is like Joe Pesci going in to get made.
Like, we're already like systematically like telling generations like our children are being born, and we're like, yeah, we're getting out of here. Not yet, but like, grow to love it. Grow to love what, Daddy? Mars.
Yeah, you see that little gold earring of a star up there? Well, we're going to live there someday.
That's where your children are going.
Dang. Well, you are really inspiring people to drink in January with this portion of Booze News. So did you get any insight into what are they doing? What is the goal, just to sort of be early? Like, we want to see how this goes. They want to be on the cusp
of cultivation. Of course, like I was focusing on the wine, and it's like Georgia is actually one of the oldest, debatably the oldest wine vindication cultures in the world. Like, we could debate it all day, but pretty much everyone in the region over there, the Turks, the Georgians, some Russians, it doesn't matter. They've been making wine for like 10,000 years, and that is probably how they're going to fund themselves to actually gain money to focus on cultivation of all plants on Mars. So it's a real thing, not just grapes.
Sure.
Just had to tie it into Booze News.
Yeah, I love it. Very
the future
interesting.
Is nay. Now. Nay? Now. Nay.
Nye.
Nye.
No?
The future is
people drinking coffee to get ready for sports activities. That was kind of an interesting thing that we were volleying back and forth about over the last few weeks. This being our first episode of Liquid Gold in the year 2019, there was a funny story out there about the Portland Trailblazers getting ready.
Traveled NBA team.
Right. And about them like getting ready for games and keeping their minds and their bodies fresh, and it all revolved around a simple beverage known as coffee. And it was a very long article. It was. They got into the different brewing methods, and then, as is so common in today's kind of media age, it got turned around on them. Deadspin ran a piece.
They're like,
saying,
so what?
Are you seriously talking about coffee? That was really interesting.
I like it on both ends because, like they're a very traveled team, but also they're doing something that everyone does in the morning when they're like a little like crusty-eyed. Mm-hmm. They're making a cup of fucking coffee. I guess ESPN wanted to focus on how serious they are about their beans and the temperature.
Yeah, it's Portland. They got a serious coffee culture up there.
Yeah, you got a cup of freaking coffee.
Got a lot of cloudy weather and a lot of rain.
You're a little tired.
Yeah,
a cup of coffee.
But that's funny in today's media age. You got a story that's kind of interesting, but maybe not as interesting as it's made to seem. And then another story will come back and just trash that story. That's kind of an interesting place that we're in. So eventually, all these booze news stories that we're gonna get taken to task. That we are spotlighting wine on Mars. Deadspin's gonna take us to task. That'd be good. We need the listeners.
I don't care.
So spread the word, good or bad, about us. You know?
Heard it here first.
Yeah. An exclusive.
I'd rather it be bad. Like, I'm better when I'm, like, defensive. Like, when my cortisone levels, like, raise. I think I'm just better at everything that I do.
So I want to turn it back to, have you had some cool dining, drinking experiences lately in the new year, Kenneth? Anything you been out on the town at all?
Yeah, I went to Dino's the other day. Got fucking hot chicken, added avocado and double bacon.
Whoa, that's next level.
And they were like,
avocado.
Are you serious? I was like, no one's done that before. They're like, man, Kenneth, you're all right.
We got to throw a shout out to Dino's hot chicken. I don't feel like people know enough or kind of include them in the whole. Like,
actually, we
what's your favorite hot chicken?
I don't want to wait outside. It's getting cold outside. So, like, when Dino's is on that 45-minute thing, I don't want 20 people in front of me. Otherwise, I'm going to Beyond the Edge. And if I go to Beyond the Edge, I'm getting the Titan bacon wrap.
Titan bacon wrap. All right.
Or if they're too busy, I'll go to Drifters and get the Drifters sandwich, but sub pulled chicken instead of the brisket.
All right, so let's do Parapalooza. So what are you pairing with hot chicken at Dino's?
Hot chicken at Dino's?
What are you drinking with it?
Before or after?
Both.
Like before, during, or after? Ask
all
me
of it.
One aspect.
Give me the journey. What's the journey you're taking me on?
Okay. Preferably, I'll sit at the bar and make my order there and stare them straight in the eye. Mm-hmm. I will get a shot of tequila and a Coors Banquet beer pregame.
Mm-hmm.
Then,
what do you like with the chicken?
Water.
Whoa, you kind of scale it back and you want to focus on those flavors.
Yeah.
Interesting. And then what do you follow it up with?
A Coors Banquet beer and a shot of tequila.
Oh, wow.
And then a slice of pie.
Tequila is unfair. That's one of our things here on Liquid Gold. Tequila works as a pre-meal shot. It works as a complement to a whole host of foods, and it works really well as a digestif because it's kind of unfair.
Well, I feel like there's like some. I think it's all about oils. Like, I like a high oil alcohol. If I'm drinking alcohol, I want oil in there. That's why that pecan speaks to me. That hoodoo speaks to me. You want that viscosity.
There's a nice lusciousness going on. I like that. And just a quick a quick little mix that Kenneth and I both enjoyed was a little bit of pecan vodka with the hoodoo. Just
It's perfect.
a little bit here, a little bit there in the same glass. And we took it back.
It's a lot of fun. No
That was
problem.
good. Yeah. So you can use that, Ali.
I was like, did I just miss that?
Hang on, no, Ali, what are you getting at Dino's?
What am I getting? Oh, hot chicken all the way. It's the best.
Yeah.
And animal fries. Yes,
Yeah.
I like really dive
I'm
into
on the
that.
Joe fries, but yeah, I've had
Animal fries.
a shitload of more animal fries than I've had Joe. I'm on Joe right now, but animal.
But I'm a
is my
Modelo
drummer.
girl. That's my like start, finish Modelo. But I do have a shot of tequila before the hot chicken.
You talking about can?
Dang, both of you guys do. This is just a thing
Can
that I don't
beer,
even know
yeah.
about.
I mean, I'm talking about a quart. Of course, if I was getting a can, I didn't know I could get a can of beer, Mike. Okay, yeah. The problem with cans of beer is I just destroy them. Draft beer, for some reason, I'm a little bit more mellow.
Tell me, Ali, have you had some cool like dining, drinking experiences in this new year so far?
Ooh.
You get around a little bit, town.
Get a little round, get a little one. Yeah, actually on Friday night, this is the most recent. I had like 6 girls in town visiting. So we went to Peninsula, and that place
Insane.
is so
That place
good.
is dope.
Yeah.
Shout out to Craig.
Yeah. Shout out to that whole team. They're great over there.
They crush it.
Yeah, it's like they're like a little family affair. They all know what they're doing. You got Craig, Yoroko, Jake, Kale, are the 4 that front of house guy. Well, Jake's the chef.
Those dudes with the
coming from
tattoos
Seattle.
over there.
And don't forget the Spice Girls poster in the background.
Yeah.
And the disco ball.
That makes me feel at ease.
Yeah. I'll tell you what I want, what I really, really want.
So did you have some gin and tonics over there?
Yeah. I
Yeah.
had a gin and tonic.
One of
Well, actually, I was
12.
I was kind of in a red wine mood, so I was want to ease in there. I knew it was gonna be a long weekend with having all my lady friends in town. So
Yeah.
The wine selection is insane there.
yeah,
Anyway.
when I like go anywhere with wine, I don't know anything about wine, so I'm just like, hey, you drive this car, like. This is what flavor I want.
They're super great with it.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I say when I go there. Just like, just kick
It's
it to
definitely
me.
one of those places
I'll do
in
the
town.
sherry later.
Definitely. One of those places you can go and just say, what are you guys into right now? What should I be drinking?
Yeah.
And
Oh,
they'll
yeah.
kind of steer you the right way.
I mean, they're so passionate about it. You're like, okay, I'm getting it.
Yeah.
I'll get it.
We're going to have Craig over here for a 2-parter on tonic.
That'd be
Probably
dope.
could go hours
That'd be dope.
Yeah.
talking
That
about
That
tonic.
guy
He's
is
up to some stuff with
freaking
tonic.
Oh, yeah.
great. I
Yeah.
love that guy.
So shout out to Craig. And
You got a
Yuriko
dessert
and
there,
the
right?
whole crew over there.
I
Did you get ice cream and
did.
caviar and potato
Oh,
chips?
actually, yes.
the
And then he came
caviar.
around with
Yeah.
the sherry to pair
Oh, yeah.
with that. And it was like a foodgasm in my mouth.
Whoa. So is that your favorite like Parapalooza experience so far this year is sherry with ice cream, caviar, potato chips?
Yeah.
Dang.
Well, it was just like, what?
pretty-
And he's like, just try it. I'm like, okay. That's when you just say yes. You're like,
Yep.
okay. But yeah, Nashville has some, good dining experiences. And then we went to L.A. Jackson that Saturday night, which it was fun, super fun because you have the DJ going, and we still wanted to be out, but we still needed to eat.
Yep.
And then, so that burger over there and the
Yeah.
pizza rolls were really fun.
Kind of
so.
take care of all of it over there.
Yeah.
Yep.
You got the DJ, food, and booze.
Do you have any kind of off the beaten path when you're making your rounds around town? Because you probably have to cover a lot of ground. Do you have any kind of off the beaten path spots that you like to hit for food or drink or both?
Ooh, off the beaten path. I don't know if this is like off the beaten path at all because it just opened up, but Babo is delicious.
That's
that Korean.
Joey.
Joey.
Yeah, right off Riverside.
Yeah.
We should
And
get them
Porter.
on here.
Yeah, for
They're
sure.
a cute
Yeah.
couple.
Yeah.
They're good people.
Yet to go. Do you
Did
like
you
it?
enjoy it?
Go. Yeah. I mean, it's like, it's
Nothing
exactly what
but
they serve till 1 a.m.
Good word. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like you're salty, you're sweet, like it hits everything. And then they have like these huge Korean beers that you can go with a homie and just get one of those and split it. And the food's really reasonably priced.
Mike can have his own. I'll get my own. He can have his own.
Yeah, we can get different ones and taste
we can
them
split
like we do.
Yeah, we can split like appetizers, but I'm gonna get my own beer.
Sharing,
Okay.
sharing is
Okay.
caring.
Yeah.
But-
Right in Inglewood, too, which Inglewood kind of needed
Yeah.
a spot that was open a little bit later. So before we go, we got into some cool places you've been to recently and experiences that you had. But there's also a newer product that's coming in for Cathead. you guys have been working on a whiskey. Can you tell us a little bit about a preview about that? That's not quite in the market, but it's coming soon. We need the fresh, hot news.
Yeah. So we're releasing it June 2019, and it's called Old Soul. Kind of all I can really share about it now. It's not a huge secret. It's just we're making some of the stuff in-house, and then we're also getting some stuff over Indiana and making a blend, but a little premature. I probably said too much, but it's coming your way June 2019. We just did a release in November, so we're super pumped about it.
Awesome.
I'm a Kentucky girl, so I love some whiskey, so I'm excited to.
Killer. So it's kind of bringing it full circle for you.
Yeah.
Getting back into those whiskey roots.
Yeah, my whiskey roots. Now I'm trying to get refreshed with it. Been on vodka for days.
Yeah, so we'll be looking for that. The Cathead whiskey coming to Nashville here in the summer.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's
kind of the beginning of the summer.
Natural progression of a vodka company with the intention to make whiskey is to produce vodka to buy you time and create revenue and experiment with products and make great products, getting to the more aged spirits
the goal.
Sort of thing that takes a long time to do. That's
sure.
what St. George did. St. George started out with Hanger
One,
and they sold that brand, but their baby has always been that single malt, which you can't get in Tennessee. I haven't seen it in a year. It tastes great. It's chocolatey.
Yeah, they make a lot of great stuff.
Yeah, I haven't seen that.
Kenneth will let you know when he's got some that you can come by and try. I bet you'll have a bottle sitting there up on your shelf.
Yeah, just surprise me.
At some point here soon. Awesome. Well, it's been great to have Ali Besten on the show today from Cathead.
Ali, you're amazing.
Well, thanks, guys. You all made my Monday.
Awesome. We will be seeing you around town. We really appreciate you coming by. We look forward to sharing some liquid gold here with you now and into the future. So thank you so much. We look forward to the whiskey. They've got the pecan vodka, the hoodoo chicory liqueur, Bristow gin, and the honeysuckle vodka, a regular vodka. You can find them at catheaddistillery.com.
Yeah.
And you guys are on Instagram and Twitter and all that?
Yeah. Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, Cathead Vodka. Yeah, we keep it simple.
Awesome. They've got the anniversary event coming up, a musical event going on in June at the distillery.
Where Michael Wolf will be performing.
Yeah, I might whip out some harmonica.
Yeah, let's bring the podcast.
And then, we might hit the road. Liquid Gold might hit the road and go down to Clarksdale for some juke joint carousing.
Yeah.
That seems like we need to make that work. Get that on the calendar here.
Let me know
when you do that. Can I bring Chris?
You can bring Chris.
I'm in.
Well, that wraps up another episode here of Liquid Gold. Again, subscribe wherever you get your podcasts and do leave us a rating if you can. You can find us on Instagram at liquidgold_pod. And we would also ask, since it is so easy, it's even easier than terrestrial radio, to share an episode or to share the podcast with a friend. You can just text that link to a friend or an acquaintance that you think would be interested in all matter of cocktails, spirits, wine, beer, coffee, booze news, all the things that we like to talk about here on Liquid Gold. So we look forward to 2019 getting into all kinds.
A weird aunt that might be into this, let her
weird
know.
Aunts and uncles are right in our wheelhouse. So definitely send it along to them. And we look forward to more Liquid Gold with Kenneth Dedmon, my co-host.
And Michael Wolf. Love you, Mike.
Yeah, it's been great. Ali, thank you so much.
Thank you, Ali. I love you.
Love you, Ali.
Love you too.